Hey there, guys. We're going to try a new format together. Rather than the big midweek worship and word for the next couple of weeks, we're going to try a couple of small dialogue kind of conversations where I'm going to give a little bit of a thought from Scripture, talk a little bit about some things that I think all of us are working through and struggling with and trying to overcome. And then we're going to pause the screen and give you a chance to think about it. If you're doing this with your small groups, it gives you a chance to talk about it and discuss it. And so we're going to try this new format because I'm hoping to increase your ability to not just hear the information, but process it and use it. So in these next 4 little talks that we're going to do together, we're going to be talking about managing this inner voice that's inside of here. How many of you guys, after, let's say, a really big stressful day, you have a really big test, you walk out of that test, right, not out of the test, but you walk out of the classroom after having this test, and your mind just immediately starts running with, did I do well? I remember when I was in college specifically, after a math test, I would say something like this to my head. It's like, if I felt really good about it, I hated it. But if I didn't feel really good about it, I'm like, I can only go up from here. And my brain would just run with all these different circumstances or scenarios, and I would just kind of freak out about, did I do well enough? Are my parents going to be happy? Or whatever. What mind you, it's so much of that inner voice playing a part in our daily lives. And so I want to help you learn how to manage that inner voice, hope you understand what the inner voice really is, but also help you to understand how, not just does it impact you, but how you can control it so that you get to choose how it impacts you. So there's this crazy ancient idea called the 16th second. Okay, well, it wasn't historically called the 16th second. Let me give you an illustration of what the 16th second looked like. It is us getting on Instagram, and I'm getting ready to post a little 15-second Instagram story video, right? So I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm here making another cup of coffee because I do that way too often, and I'm making another cup of coffee. It's gonna be amazing. Boom, click. Now imagine you're on the screen and you're watching my 15-second video. You're imagining maybe my room, my living room, or my dining room actually, which is where my coffee stuff is at home. And you've probably seen lots of my Instagram pictures because I'm obsessed with coffee way too much. And like at the end of that 15 seconds, it shuts off. And the next second is the 16th second. And you jump next to the very next thing. Maybe the next thing is a still picture, whatever it is. If that previous 15 seconds was exhilarating in any way, was stressful in any way, was awesome in any way, on good or bad, no matter where it's in the line of thought, that 16th second becomes a really peculiar, weird moment in time for you. And for me, it's like, oh, it's this emotional high, and then boom, it's gone. Like a good example of this is after a football game. So you're at Friday night football game. It's been incredible. The quarterback throws a perfect pass. You guys win the final seconds. You're going crazy in the student section with your friends. It's amazing. Maybe it's your last prom, and it's like you're leaving. It's like whoop, or maybe it's your first day on a new job, or maybe it's your first day in high school, and you're going like, where am I at? Where do I go? And it's that moment, that 16th second is the moment, the first second after something crazy good or crazy bad ends. And it's in the 16th second, I like to call it the limbo second, because you really don't know what happens next. And that's where this inner voice in your mind starts to grip at you. It does for me anyways. More often than not for me, this is just my personal story as Jeremy, the 16th second for me often happens at nighttime where I'm starting to lay down to go to sleep. I'm sitting on the couch, or Sarah and I are playing Fortnite or something, and I just hit a wall. I need to go to bed. I'm exhausted. I'm done. But then the moment I lay my head on my pillow, because I have a terrible habit, I grab my phone, I start searching TikToks for way too stinking long. Anybody else resonate? It's a problem. I start looking at my TikToks, and next thing I know, my mind starts running again. And it's that 16th second. It's like I am now, the inner voice in my head is starting to consider everything that just happened throughout the day. Was it good? Was it bad? I start thinking through all the things I got to do tomorrow. I start thinking about that one person who said something weird to me and how uncomfortable I felt about it. I mean, there's just a long list of things. Right now, for just a minute, I want you to pause the screen, and I want you to think about what are your 16th second moments on a good side and the bad side. Start thinking about, how do you naturally respond to a tense moment? And like, how do you respond to a great moment, like leaving a football game? Talk about it for just a minute. Think about what your natural reaction is the moment something amazing or something weird ends. Okay, how was it processing that? It's a little weird to think about what's that 16th second in my head. And I know it's bizarre because you've probably never heard of this idea of 16th second, because in essential, I just made it up based upon Instagram 15-second Instagram stories. But each of us have them. And learning how to manage that first reaction afterwards has the ability, it truly does, as odd as this might sound, it has the ability to give you strength to get through the next day. It really does. Right now, we're in this weird, peculiar space where some of us are like in doom and gloom because it's a quarantine. Or if you're like me and my personality as an optimist, I'm like, it's going to be great, just wait. And whatever the 16 seconds I meant to say for you, you have the ability to digress into negative and you get depressed, or you have the ability to get positive. We're going to have a couple more of these videos that's talking about that inner voice. But right now, I want you to just meditate. I want you to chew on this idea a little bit. What is your natural reaction to that 16th second? Do you naturally bend towards the positive, or you naturally bend towards the negative? It's okay if you do go into the negative, but you need to understand that you do. You need to acknowledge that you do, and then we can have a conversation about, okay, how do we turn it? Maybe you go to the positive, but it's not really positive. If you're anything like me, I turn to the positive because it makes me ignore the negative in my life, which is equally just as dangerous. And so for the next couple of talks, we're going to talk about, okay, what are the different voices in our head and how do we manage them? And how do we give Jesus access to give us victory and freedom in each of those spaces? So again, really list out what are those moments where you can see that the 16th second has been a win, but it's also been a detriment. It's destroyed me. Guys, I cannot wait to share with you a little bit more in the future about how to take ownership of that voice that's in your head. Love you guys.